2x4 for some scale. It's about 3 inches. That would be a keeper if I were working on collections. Some beautiful colors. That's why when you travel over there, Outhouse framing part 3. Wrapped up this kind of front end of the wall. 2x6 with the double 2x4s. Makes it nice and centered. And I stuck the corner rebar in the framings and bent it that way to get a nice tight turn rather than just stepping on it and bending it, which was a looser turn. I do want to do this before I do this. So those are treated 8-footers. Those would be for over here. You know, this is 49 inches, and figuring this is like 4 foot. Whoops. 4 foot. Doing a 112. You know, it's an inch per foot, so minusing 4 inches. So 49. These sides will be 45. This will be slightly steeper because this is more like 3 foot rather than 4. This is more like 40 inches rather than 4 foot, actually. You know. But, you know, it'll be like a 45-inch stud length. So, you know, be getting 6 inches of scrap out of an 8-footer. That's what those are for. And then, you know, those 6-foot pieces go this way. Some of those 6-foot pieces will be cut to like 4 foot. And they'll go this way. On this section. Some 10-footers. There are more 10-footers in there. A lot more. Just drying. These are some 2-foot pieces. Well, it's hard to tell what they are. That's the 5 rib. I think it's maybe like 8 6-foot pieces, and 8 2-foot pieces is what I got. Something like that. I'm not 100% sure if I got enough to do all of it. If I don't, I'll pick up some more. Lowe's does sell this. 6-footers for here. And then this will be a double 2. You know, so I have a overlap seam in the middle. And possibly a 4, you know. So some of those 6-footers will be cut into a 2 and a 4. So it'll be like a 4-1, and then a double 2, and then a 4, and then a double 2, and a 4, and then a double 2. And that'll kind of stop once I get to here. So I can do that, but before I continue, this is going to be in corrugated. Before I continue this over, I want to do concretes, and then give it time to cure. So I'll be kind of doing up this area for the tub before I continue the awning on this side. But for right now, though, this is framing 3. Getting this far, doing the miscellaneous framings. Let's see. Windowsill, some cripples, window headers. These are just scrap one by that I was using for like forms and screeds and things. That's as high as it can go because it's so close to the ground. You know, and there will be a window well eventually, you know, if it gets around to it, you know. This is as high as it can go. So I can have a toilet seat, you know, flop up, and it's not hitting it. Maybe even have room for a shelf. You never know. This is just comfortable. You know, these are this height because it's comfortable shooting height. And that one had to be there because it couldn't go any higher and it couldn't go any lower. Because that's as high as it can go because of the shower. You know, the higher up, the less water gets in there. Drier it'll be. Did this well. Again, it's treated. Cripples. Started the bench. Treated. Some bolts. I did these bolts shallow so that they didn't go through the wall. You know, I don't think they would because there's footers down there, so it's extra thick. And that one's really extra thick, you know, but I didn't want to risk it. So that's why those are shallow. Those are deep enough to hold the wood, but shallow enough to where it's not going to go through the wall. Trim this back 12 inches so it sits at like a 10 foot exact, you know. It's a full 10 footer, the back piece, you know. I guess what would be a rim joist. There's a full 10 footer. What do you call it? I had 4 hurricane clips just sitting around from when I was doing the shack or something. Just maybe a stick falling or something. I almost thought maybe I scared a deer. Oh, I'm not gonna see it with glare in the sun. Anyways, this is a full 10 footer. So this is like, you know, 2, 4. I can take out this now. 6. So that's like a big sail. So I put my hurricane clips on there. It's not windy though, so it should have been fine. But I had them, so I figured I'd use them, get them out of the way. I would like to get rid of a lot of like my scrap things, you know, and you know, eventually clear out the, you know, most of the stuff in here, you know, and put it in the storage part of the warehouse garage, you know. But the less stuff I have to move, the better. You know, the less stuff I have sitting around, the better. It's getting to the point where there's not going to be enough society left to do construction projects, so there's no point in having miscellaneous hurricane clips and things sitting around. Cut up some of that V-crimp to make little plates. You know, this is all single top plate. You know, but I do got some little splice plates I made out of the V-crimp. And I just put them over some of the most random ones, you know. The ones that are the trickiest. It's got so many screws. Screws have good holding power. A lot better holding power. A lot better holding power than nails. So, I mean, it's got a lot of screws holding everything together. It wouldn't fall apart. This is lightweight roof. So no real weight. We don't really get snow. You know, 2 inches of snow. So there's no snow load. So double top plate's not really necessary here. And that's about it. Just sitting around from before. Miscellaneous pieces. I decided I'm going to put in a hose right there. So, you know, tee it off, you know, and run the water out to here. Maybe do a utility sink before I do the pad. Just so I can wash my hands out here. So, like, I got bloody hands, I want to wash them. You know, touch the doorknob, now I got a bloody doorknob, you know, to get into here to wash in here. Or then I gotta run this hose outside if I don't, you know. So I might as well just bring water out here, it'd be a lot more convenient. And I can use a nice little 10-foot hose or something, you know, to get everywhere. Rather than a 10-foot hose to get outside the door, I'll get to the ledge, but that's as far as a 10-foot hose will go. The next is like maybe 25, you know. Now it's like a big curl up in here, you know, it becomes a hassle having a 25-foot hose there. That would get me over to there. Boy, I could just do a 10 right there. Be done with it. Let's see, some boxes. Next video though is going to be, so this is framing 3, get into this. Use the chainsaw. I couldn't find I picked up a new one, and then I just had it sitting around because you might as well get it. If you're going to need it, you might as well get it now before you're actually using it, just because it's cheaper now than it's going to be 6 months from now when you're actually using it. So I went ahead and picked up a new chainsaw. And then, you know, coming out here, there was a tree in the driveway. You know, the tornado came through the general area and knocked down trees. So I had to clear the trees. You know, there's like one of the trees still. You know, it's kind of chopped off the tip of it. I couldn't find my bar oil though. I didn't pick up any because I had a tub. I couldn't find it. So I used some deep fryer cooking, you know, canola oil that I'd been deep frying in. And it bound up the chain. So I had to hit it with some WD-40. And now I got 2 things of bar oil, It's got bar oil in it now. But if you use cooking oil, get it out quick, or just be prepared to hit your chain with WD-40. Next video, that was it for this video. Trimming those, doing, this is reframing. This will get, next video will be kind of metalwork, and with the metalwork, be getting some of those 1x4s running this way. Every 2 foot, these are 8 foot metal, 8 foot 1x4s, and it'll be 8 foot metal. 8 foot 1x4s, want to be first one here, starting here, second one starting there, going that way. So there's a 2 foot piece right here, and then on the first one there's a 2 foot piece back there. So I'll be alternating them that way. Every 2 foot. And giving it some 8 foot metal. The 8 foot metal will go up, and then maybe, because it's, all I got is, this is like a 9'2", and you got 1.5 inch and shaft 9'3", or 3 another, so that's 9.5 feet. That gives me like 6 inches of metal to work with, using some of the corrugated as the ridge cap, a piece of 2 foot piece of corrugated as a ridge cap. It's gonna be real tight, but it should work. I'm gonna think about just how tight that is, and I'll be going to town today. It's so tight, because I do want to give it like maybe 1 inch or 2 of overhang over there, but that's almost all I got. It gives me just maybe 1 inch or 2 overhang over here. So maybe instead of doing a ridge that way, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this as I think so this is a step down. This roof line is just going to step down right here is what it's going to do. There'll be another one, so my new ridge will be right here. That will give me a little bit off. I'm going to have to think about this. Oh, and this isn't a square. That's what you see that, Or if it's square. But if it's when I'm squaring it up, this I just kind of did however. Main thing is that's plumb and level, and it's close to plumb and level, but it's definitely not square, it's flush on the back, more or less. This is, it's unsightly when you look up, but you're never looking up, you're looking down, because that's where you're walking, so you never even see that. Yeah, that's it for this video. Framing 3.
What what is news like around the world? That's something I don't understand.
So different, it's crazy. You don't realize that we live in this bizarre biosphere where you have no idea what's going on in the rest of the world. You have no idea how you're perceived, the United States is perceived. And you have no idea really your place in the global order, because we're cut off from the rest of the world and we have these 2 extremely lame, irrelevant countries bordering us, but that's it. Mexico and Canada, no offense, I like them both, but nobody cares. But there are big, important countries around the world, and they're very focused on the United States, and they have all these views about what we're doing, and those views are never expressed here. So if you're a leader in the United States, you can be like, well, we're doing this for democracy. This is the arsenal of democracy. And then you go to the countries that are directly affected by those policies, and they're like, you're freaking insane. You have no idea what you're talking about. I mean, the mind blower for me this summer, we traveled all over the world, a bunch of different continents, and we're still doing it because I got fired. So I've been stuck in a studio for all those years.
So now you got to get out and about.
Well, kind of. I mean, I go on vacation for 2 weeks a year, but that was it. When you do a show regularly, you're tied to where you are, period. You're in a studio.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I'm kind of
free.
Emancipated. Yeah, for a few months, and it was the summertime, and anyway, so we went, but the shock for me was, and this is not a partisan point at all.
And what does partisan mean?
It means like carrying water for a party. Like, this is what Republicans think, or this is what Democrats think.
So nonpartisan means not choosing.
This is just what I think is true. And it doesn't matter what either party says.
Okay. What does nonpartisan mean?
It just means not partisan. You're not connected to a party. You're not helping either party.
Okay.
But what I mean is both parties, Republican and Democrat, were saying for a year and a half, Ukraine is winning this war against Russia.
Yeah, I remember doing that.
Oh, yeah, I mean, and I still think people believe that. So whatever you think of the war, Russia-Ukraine, I mean, I'm not that interested, honestly, because I'm not Russian or Ukrainian, is the truth. But lots of Americans seem to be interested. They have their little Ukrainian flags, and they're learning to pronounce Kiev as Kyiv, and they're doing all the steps that you need to do, repeating all the dumb slogans.
Slava Ukraine.
Yeah, they don't, whatever.
Nobody
Americans have
knows,
this thing where they have no idea where something is, but they're like, all of a sudden, you see it now with the Middle East. Well, I'm an expert, the Nakba. What?
Yeah.
Stop. But anyway, the article of faith for most Americans was that Ukraine is winning this war. So, how do I know? You know what I mean? I'm stuck in a studio. So I go over to the region. It's 2 different countries that border Ukraine.
Oh, you popped over there to Ukraine?
No, I didn't go to Ukraine. No, I don't think I'd do well in Ukraine. No,
Really?
Well, the government of Ukraine has attacked me by name a lot. So I felt like that was unwise.
Who's their master over there? Their leader?
Well, the president is a guy called Vladimir Zelensky.
Oh, right. That's right. He's a fucking comedian.
Yeah, a very unfunny one.
Yeah. Do we have any videos of him doing stand-up comedy?
He's got one where he's playing the piano with his dick. I don't know if you can find that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but yeah, and actually fairly well.
Was it at a Sig Ep house? Where was that?
It was in Ukraine somewhere.
Oh, no
I
way.
think it's a pretty common thing. There. Oh, there he is playing piano with his penis. Yes.
Is he really?
Oh, yes.
Oh, anybody can be president now.
Well, I don't know. Can you play the piano with your penis?
Huh? I don't know. A little bit of Beethoven. That's
Yep.
kind of hacky, but it's cute, though.
That was good.
Thank you.
I like that.
Well, I said that just because I knew you might like it.
I love that. I wish I'd said that. But anyway, so whatever.
I wish I hadn't.
I
You
don't
can
care
say
about
it.
these guys in any way. But
Right.
I go over there and I start talking to very knowledgeable people, like the people who run these countries. And they're like, what? No. Russia has 100 million more people than Ukraine. 100 million.
Wow.
And much deeper industrial capacity. They have all these weapons factories. Like you're not going to, it's the largest country in the world by landmass. There's literally no chance, even theoretically, Ukraine could beat them.
But aren't they an industrial old? Aren't they
Russia?
like, things made out of stone? Aren't they like living
Yeah.
in the past with a lot of like
Well, it turns out,
or
they're
is
the
their
only,
military advanced?
Well, we always made fun of it, during the Soviet period because it was super inefficient and they were all drunk and they would crash their commercial airliners all the time from drunkenness, all the time. In fact, their carrier, the international carrier, their national carrier is called Aeroflot, Russian carrier. It was the Soviet carrier. And in a very, very famous crash, the pilot had his son in the cockpit with passengers on the plane. And the cockpit voice recorder proved this. And the son just takes the yoke just pushes it down and flies the plane right into the ground. So, people made fun correctly of Soviet technology, but it turns out they were actually pretty good at this. They
Right.
produced a lot of chess players. They're not stupid people at all, and neither are the Ukrainians for that matter. But anyway, the point is, the Russians were never going to lose, period. And anyone who looked at it objectively would know that, except no one in the United States knew that. So that kind of freaked me out. I'm like, we have this big country, smart country, the most advanced country in the world, supposedly, and nobody even knows a basic fact.
Who's really winning?
Like, Russia has 100 million more people. Of course, they're not going to lose to Ukraine. Like, that's insane. And yet, nobody knew that. So I thought, wow, what else don't we know?
Yeah.
And just the amount of lying that you can do in a world where everything is controlled. All information is controlled, with the exception pretty much of Twitter. Because the guy who owns it has said he's not going to censor.
Yeah, because once you don't have your fucking opinion, then it's like, how do you get to a revolution? How do we get to a revolution? Because at what point do people just say, well, if you don't want my life to mean anything to me, based on how you've set up the environment, at what point do you go from there to, then I am not going to play this game? Or how does a revolution start?
They're very worried about it. That's why they're putting people in prison. And
I think they should be worried about it.
They are worried.
I'd love to fucking be on a horseback, dude.
Well,
you
but
know?
you know how you get to revolution is by not listening to people and not serving their interests and telling them to shut up again and again, calling them names. Something, you've got a legitimate question, like, why should I support a war with Iran? Shut up! Calling me, what? I have 4 children of draft age. Like,
Right.
why is that not a fair question for me? Shut up! And you do that enough, and I have recourse because I have a platform, but most people don't. And if you tell them to shut up enough, like, we don't care that you care about gas prices and your stupid pickup truck. Well, some people like their pickup trucks and they use them for work. And if it's not affordable to fill it up, that's a big deal for them. And if you're like, shut up, climate change, pig. You know, your nephew ODs on fentanyl and nobody cares. Like, if you keep that up for long enough, you will make people radical. And why wouldn't they be radical, actually? Yeah. And I'm so insulated for most of it because I have enough money and I'm not in debt and my kids are grown and paid for. And like, I'm in a much easier position than most people.
Right.
And I feel radical just watching.
Right.
And so why wouldn't they be on the brink of being unreasonable? And it doesn't need to be this way. You don't have to solve all of people's problems. Like, some problems are very hard to solve, and people know that. There's no magic button you press that ends inflation or stops fentanyl, and everyone knows that. All you need to do is express the fact, and do it sincerely, that you care. You acknowledge these are big problems. But when the Speaker of the House, who I know is a nice guy from your state, the new Speaker of the House comes in, and the first thing he does is issue a statement on behalf of a foreign country. That's the most important thing. I'm not even against the statement, but I'm just saying, like, what bigger statement does that make?
That's him, Mikey Johnson?
Yeah. And
he's the speaker?
He is. And,
praise God.
but
Damn, Mikey.
He's a nice guy, and I'm not against him, but I'm just saying, like, if you think the welfare of another country is the most important thing for you as one of the leaders of our country, third in line to the presidency, you have lost the thread, son, because it's not. Nothing is more important to the leaders of our country than our country and how its 350 million people are doing. So I was enraged by that. And you're for Hamas? Of course I'm not for Hamas at all. I'm for America, actually. I shouldn't even have to answer that question.
Yeah.
Are you for Israel or Hamas? I mean, obviously I'm for Israel over Hamas, but that's irrelevant. I'm for America. And no one even asked that. And I feel deep resentment about that the concerns of this country are of no concern.
Right. It feels like our concerns don't even fucking matter anymore.
They don't matter.
That's why it makes me wonder, are we just a shell company for Israel? Are we just a shell company for China? Like, where are we anymore? Like, are we just...
Well, there are a lot of people who live here who really like it here. We're born here.
I love it here.
Well, I know you do. And I'm just saying, like, it doesn't have to be this way. There are hundreds of millions of people whose ancestors are buried here, and they want to stay here. They don't have another passport. And it wouldn't be hard to rally them and just say, like, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican, you're this, you're that, but we're all American, and let's have a conversation about what's best for our country. You would get people from all sides being like, that's right, that's the right conversation. We may not even agree, but that's the conversation we should be having. And if you don't do that, I'm just telling you, you play with fire. People go crazy. And I'm totally convinced that the mass shootings we're seeing and the massive spike in mental illness that we're seeing, which is leading to the mass shootings, these are manifestations of the frustration, the hopelessness that people feel when they realize their leaders don't care about them. I believe that. I can't prove it, but I believe it because I happen to live in a place with a lot of people who are not kind of succeeding in the modern world. And they're good people, and they have skills, and they've been here, their families have been here for hundreds of years. We should care about them.
I agree. But yeah, I think our country has been compromised by people that don't care, and they don't see value in that. And it feels like it's just about a bottom line, or it's about, I don't know, some goal that to me seems so erroneous I can't even fathom that you wouldn't have feelings. Like when you're like that Sackler family that's just watching people's children die. So you can make money off of a fucking pill. Who cares? What do you eat? What are you going to get? Another like half bathroom or something? Like, what are you going to get?
Exactly.
Like, I don't understand the goal sometimes of some of that, or why people would think that selling someone out to such a point where they don't have any purpose, where you take away their hope, We had a guy on here talk about meaning, this guy, John Vervaeke, and he was real interesting. This guy is from Canada, and he just talks about meaning, and when people don't have like, when they don't feel like they're supported by, I'm going to fuck it up, but if they don't feel like they're part of a group, or they don't feel like...
if they're totally cut off from other people and just floating around atomized and alone,
right,
it drives them crazy.
Right, you go crazy. Yeah,
and then
like
you get
put a man in solitary confinement.
Exactly.
So you've basically taken so much of America by taking away like things that brought us together.
Yes.
And some of those things were smaller towns, like businesses in small towns.
Of course.
Things that made people feel of value. My father went to a, my father, his family was mahogany farmers. They did wood, and So I think if your father went into the woods in your town or whatever, part of a company that built tables.
They were literally mahogany farmers?
Yeah, and you had a table at home, and then it was your dad's company's table. We eat at our families. We build it in our town.
There's some physical connection between labor and reward. And
Yeah,
now
now
all
it's just
theoretical and digital and bullshit.
Yeah.
Zoom calls and
Yeah, now it's just like, do you want to eat at this fucking Chipotle sit-go, where they're selling gas and burritos and, and it's just like,
Is that a thing?
but that's a fucking town hall of a lot of, it's just, now everything has just been, it's a Dollar General in most towns, and that's what it is. And, it's like, just we've killed off a lot of that,
Sorry.
No, it's crazy though. But there's something happened. And I think that's the infection that starts to get into the spirit of us, And I think that's the fight that's going on inside of a lot of people.
Make something beautiful. That's what we should be telling kids. Like, your job in life, it's not just working for the man and paying the bills. It's make one thing that's beautiful, that you are proud of, that's an expression of something good inside you. Make it with your hands or with your mouth. But make it. Make something beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's so. And by the way, when you say something that you think, not others, you think is particularly funny or insightful, you're getting the truth about something, aren't you filled with like this? Wow. Doesn't that feel like better than anything?
Yeah, I think it feels like what you're supposed to be doing.
Yes, that's it. Exactly. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing, what God made you to do. That's my feeling. But that's not advice that we give at all. It's like how to be an obedient, get some stupid degree at some stupid college to be an obedient employee to some stupid asshole who runs it, who's going to mistreat you.
Yeah.
Worse.
When there's a revolution, what city should we meet up in?
Well, if there is a revolution, and I pray there isn't because they never end well, but if there is,
But it'd be fucking fun, huh?
for like the first 20 minutes when you actually storm the Bastille and free the prisoners or whatever, hang your homemade flag from the roof of the Capitol or whatever, like you
Burn the news networks is the first thing you would have to do.
So that'd be the fun part of the revolution. I think that would be definitely be the fun part. But then you have like show trials and famines, and you have like all the downside. But whatever, I'm not in charge. So if that happens, I will be so deep in the woods, surrounded by my dogs, and I'll say it, firearms.
Okay.
Probably not going to hear from
Look,
me.
let's just pretend one of your dogs is named Firearms.
I actually have a dog called Firearm.
Yeah.
I have AK and 47.
Yeah,
and
whatever you have, dude. I got bow, I got arrow, I got whatever, I got all my weapons in the woods with me. But yeah, and you can even just text me and just let me know where you're going to be. But I think about that. You know what's wild is I think about that sometimes.
But you're going to be in L.A.
No, I won't be. I live in Nashville.
Oh, you don't live in L.A.
No, I live in a place where if somebody is being weird, you can do that.
Okay, because if you're in L.A., you just get eaten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, here's the move you would do in L.A. You would get in a boat and go off the shore. That would be the first move. And
Yeah.
let the other
Having
people-
grown up on the Pacific, let me just say it's a little bigger than the Chunkafunky River, wherever you're from. Okay? It's a super big ocean.
Yeah, and
okay?
also fuck Ben and Jerry's while we're at it. I just wanted to say that. But go on. They're Marxists.
Is it called Chunky Monkey? What's the name of your river?
Chafunkta.
Chifunk-
But I love that, dude.
Chifunkta. That's the greatest name ever. But the Pacific goes on forever, and then you make it to Hawaii like 6 days later in your Boston
thank
whaler.
God.
Yeah, right.
Well, if you've been lost at sea for 6 days, you deserve to show up in Hawaii, I think.
It's easy to miss Hawaii though in the middle of the Pacific. You could, yeah. That's a long way to Thailand.
Could you imagine
No,
they pick you up? They're like, you fuck you, it is close to Hawaii. You're like, what
Yeah.
the fuck? I let my wife
No, the Pacific is not a good escape plan at all. No, because south you have, Baja, Ensenada.
Right.
Right? That's going to be a little chaotic. It always is.
Yeah.
From Los Angeles to what? The Arctic Circle? I mean, that's just like nothing. It's like Alaska. Like there's kind of nowhere to go.
Yeah.
But, you get in the woods.
Deep in there.
Yeah, you got a shot. And
Boo Radley up in there with a couple of pups.
100%. You go
Yeah.
full Boo Radley.
Oh,
Live in the
definitely.
hollow of a tree. Yeah.
That's it. Me too, man. It sounds exciting, but I think people start to think that way. And that's a sad. It's interesting because it just comes in my head sometimes. I've thought about asking people I know. I've thought about asking Joe Rogan, where do we meet up if shit gets weird? And I'd never used to think
I don't
that.
think Joe's going to leave his house, right?
He might not. But I think everybody's got a little bit of a place. I think some people are thinking maybe could be. I think you want to do mountainous, so I think you go Salt Lake or Denver. Broncos suck. but so I don't know if I'd go there. Utah at least doesn't have a team. I don't know, but you start to think about it. You want to get up to sea level. You know, you don't want nature beating you. So you don't want to drown out. You don't want to be in fucking Johnstown or something, or whatever that place is.
Johnstown or Jonestown.
Or Jonestown. Both of them flooded up.
Both of them bad. Bad. Purple Kool-Aid, overflowing rivers. You don't want to go anywhere, I think is the truth. You don't want to go anywhere.
You don't want to.
You don't want to travel. If things go sideways, I don't think you want to be on the road. I mean,
That's a good point.
the 2 times I've been in places for brief periods where, there really was no authority.
What did that feel like, and where was it?
One was at Katrina, right after the storm in New Orleans.
Wow, you were down there, huh, bro?
I was, and the other was in Baghdad in December of 2003 when it kind of like started to get, I felt, out of hand.
And which one was more hectic, you think?
Oh, Baghdad. But for the United States, no one ever says this. I really feel like Katrina was almost unbelievable how chaotic it was.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for real? I mean, I could bore you, but
Oh, I've been at a game when the Saints are fucking losing to the Falcons, and it gets fucking hectic enough.
there is no one there to call,
Right.
period. And then people start behaving in ways that are ridiculous. And I saw that with my own eyes. And dead people and people getting shot. Like, I saw it, not guessing. And I was just like, this cannot be America. Like, I always thought if something bad happened, there would be like, you just like call some special number and like dad comes and restores order. No, at all. The police were looting. I saw it.
Yeah.
The police were looting during Katrina. So that's, anyway, whatever. My point is, I don't think you want to travel too much if you can help it.
Yeah.
It's better to be in a place where you're just like, this is my place and I'm defending it with these firearms. But until things calm down, until like electricity is restored after the EMP attack or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to happen.
There'll be a nuclear attack?
No, there's going to be, it's pretty easy to take down a society that's digital.
Oh, yeah. Once you unplug that, and then but that's a crazy feeling when you're like, okay, because your first thought is, let me call somebody.
Nope.
Your phone isn't going to work.
No calling, no oil through the pipelines, no food delivered.
God's going to have the busiest afternoon.
No airlines, no one on the roads. Like it all, if you've put everything online, because the people who run our country are so stupid, they've actually done that. You are so vulnerable that it's unbelievable. And you're using Chinese servers and switchers, and like at that point, you have no control. You don't need to drop a nuke on anybody.
Yeah. First of all, if
Just
anybody's
scramble
doing
the
any of that
circuits.
shit, do not nuke.
You don't need to.
Yeah.
You don't need to.
Let us at least enjoy the mystery of it for a little while, too.
But people are that doesn't mean just no DoorDash. That means no anything. And people, one thing I've noticed in both the places I've been
No
where,
Stacy Dash either, huh? That bitch,
no Stacey
Sorry.
Dash. You
That was
can't
dumb.
call any of your call girls from the interstate.
Oh, thank
like-
God, dude. What if they start showing up? You're like,
They will. They'll be seeking refuge at your place.
Yeah.
Remember me? You tipped me for no service.
seeking refuge raiment. That was a tough play on words.
That's a good one, though.
Thank you, dude. But I think, but you wouldn't be able to use money anywhere.
No.
That's going to become the value. Like, it's weird we're having this conversation, but even as me listening to you talk, my brain, I think, is recording this because it feels like it could be plausible. All you need is a couple of cops to be like, you know what? Fuck these people as well. I'm not going to fucking quit. I'm not going to quit blockading or attacking these people who I know are really struggling when I'm going home tonight and being one of them.
100%.
That's
And by the
all
way,
it
my
takes.
kids are at home, and this happened in New Orleans during Katrina. There's cops, and I give them all the benefit of the doubt. Some of them, you do have some criminal cops down there, but you also
Oh,
have good guys
yeah.
too. And the good guys are like, I'm sorry, I got a wife and kids at home. Like, I'm not, and people are going nuts. The thing that I noticed was it took like zero time from when authority disappeared for people to get super afraid, for the predators to come out and start preying on people, and for everything just to fall apart. Everything.
Yeah.
And if you unplug this country, and by the way, once you decide you're going to go to war with Iran, as apparently the morons who run our country have decided, that is, a very likely outcome if they're going to do something like that.
Really?
Absolutely.
I
Everyone's
saw
like,
what Lindsay-
they could send an ICBM or whatever. Why would they bother to throw a missile at the United States across the ocean when they could unplug the country? And then you have real casualties, and mass chaos, like true chaos.
Oh, yeah.
People are not prepared for this. They haven't thought it through. Our leaders have not prepared them for it at all. It's like, oh, it's on your iPhone. You don't have an iPhone, and there's no electricity, and there's no water, and there's no way to get anywhere.
Yeah.
Come on, dude. And that could happen. That's not science fiction. Like, that could happen soon. And we're not ready for it. And as you said, it's not a cohesive country. People are not like, oh, I'm going to help my neighbors. You don't know who your neighbors are. They may not speak the same language.
Well, you're certainly not going to also help your government. So that's going to be the weird thing.
Right.
When the government's like, people do this, a lot of people are going, fuck you. I don't trust you.
Totally. And people have not seen chaos. They don't know what chaos looks like.
No, we don't.
Like, when people imagine war, they imagine, two lines against each other, lobbing artillery shells or rifle fire at each other. There's a certain order to that. And people can handle it. It's dangerous, but I can handle it. It makes sense to me. It's orderly, geometric. Chaos is completely different from that. Chaos is like you have no freaking idea what's happening, who's on your side, who's not, who's a threat, who isn't, where things are going. People are not designed for that. People can't handle chaos, and they go crazy. And I've only, as I said, had a taste of this a couple of times, but enough to learn. Chaos is the one thing you have to avoid, because that's when people become animals and really start behaving in ways that are inconceivable to civilized people.
Oh, we're going to turn into middle monkeys real fast, or we're going to...
Like in minutes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, bro. Dude, I was at a Dave & Buster's one time, right? I'm not even joking. Fucking power goes out, dude.
Did you eat anyone?
Bro, it was wacka everyone in that bitch, dude. People were beating it was complete darkness.
Right.
And people, you're fucking feeling around for whatever, birthday cake or whatever like you don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
But that was crazy. That's a Dave & Buster's.
I know.
You know?
Ton of minnows. One bigger fish are stranded. And for some reason, this guy's just sticking around. He can get out of here, but he just likes it. Maybe he eats the minnows. This guy doesn't like it. He's got maybe a day or two left. He's got algae growing on him. Some kind of disease. I'm being trapped. Looks like it might be a bass. It'll be a bass. He's got a lot of good last meals in there.